everyone, I'm Georgia and this is The Sound of Georgia. So if this is not the first video you've watched on my channel, you probably know that The Sound of Music wasn't actually the first adaptation of Maria von Trapp's memoir that was made. That honour goes to a German film from the 1950s called Die Trapp Family. And that translated means The Trapp Family. I know, so original. But even if you don't know about that German film, you probably know that there are quite a number of historical inaccuracies within Sound of Music. Because those historical inaccuracies are pointed out quite a lot, and because every Von Trapp adaptation out there goes overboard to tell you that it is more historically accurate than The Sound of Music. So today I'm going to be creating a hypothetical scenario that fixes all of that. I'm going to pull apart all the adaptations of the Von Trapp story and try and create the perfect adaptation. This was my topic for my final university paper, so I have done the research, and I think hidden within all these adaptations is the perfect adaptation, just waiting to be told, because every single adaptation gets something right. Each adaptation has one specific element that it does better than any of the others. So I'm going to try and hit the perfect balance between an adaptation of Maria's memoir and historical accuracy, because as discussed the other week, these can actually be independent of one another. Sound of Music has a lot of historical inaccuracies, but it doesn't stray too far from Maria's memoir a lot of the time. So what adaptations are we going to use to try and create this perfect version of the story? So we have Die Trapp Family, the German film, Sound of Music, obviously. This works for both the stage and the screen, so if I say Sound of Music, it can mean either. Then we have the Trapp Family story anime from the 90s. And finally, the 2015 film, The Von Trapp Family, A Life of Music, which they were filming in Salzburg like a week before I was there, a week before or a week after. I missed it by that much. So I think a good thing to work out first is the plot itself. And for that, we're going to start at the very beginning, that being the German film. Out of all the adaptations, overall, this movie's plot is the most accurate you will get. Like all the others, except Life of Music, which we'll get to in a minute, the story only covers the first half of Maria's memoir. It starts when she arrives at the villa, it ends when they escape. But it still follows that segment of the book almost perfectly. The one thing it does get a bit off is the timeline. 11 years are condensed into about 18 months, and Maria's two daughters are axed. Not Johann though, he gets to stay. Still, overall, as far as the plot goes, we want the plot of Die Trapp Family. But the timeline really doesn't matter because there is another film we can steal a bit from, and that is Life of Music. As I said, in real life there were 11 years between Maria arriving and the family escaping. In Life of Music there were 3 years axed off at the beginning of that, so Maria arrives 3 years later, but beyond that the timeline is unaltered. So instead of 11 years, in Life of Music it's 8 years. But that's still 7 or more years longer than any other adaptation. So we want the plot of Die Trapp Family with the timeline of Life of Music. There's the plot done. However, the timeline isn't the only thing we want to use from Life of Music. The other thing Life of Music gets better than any of the others is the visual style. In that movie the timeline itself may be correct, but the plot is all over the place. But aesthetically, it's perfect. Here's the real life Maria, here's Maria in all the other adaptations, and here's Maria in Life of Music. Here's Georg in real life, here's Georg in all the other adaptations, and here's Georg in Life of Music. Yeah, the kids are all blonde when they weren't, but this aesthetic looks very different from any of the other adaptations, and it's pretty clear that they were going for historical accuracy with it. I do realise what the actors look like is probably the least important element out of all of these, but if we're trying to make the perfect adaptation, I think it should be included. So we have the plot of Die Trapp Family that takes place over the timeline of Life of Music and has the aesthetics of that film as well. Let's talk about the anime. The anime has a lot more detail than the other adaptations, simply because it's a series and they're all movies. so you've got a lot more time. Despite that, the anime does not have the timeline of Life of Music, but instead the same as the Trap Family, so about 18 months. But considering we're using Life of Music's timeline, maybe a series would be a better adaptation, though there are a lot of episodes in the anime that are completely disposable, for lack of a better word. They're not events found in Maria's memoir, they're just there because it is a series. If you'll remember last week, I talked about the Sound of Music fanfiction that are stories about the kids. And this is basically what all those disposable episodes are. Stories about the kids. So there's not going to be any of that in this story. But if we have the timeline from Life of Music, that leaves a lot more room to put everything else in. That means we've got plenty of time to explore those several years that are cut out of every adaptation. So, miniseries? Either way, whether it's a series or a movie, I think we should have some of the details that the anime, and only the anime, has. You know, like mentioning Agatha by name. Agatha was Captain Von Trapp's first wife. Her grandfather invented the torpedo. I'm not kidding. So that leaves us with Sound of Music. Despite what I've said about it many times, it is undoubtedly the one that takes the most creative license. Except Life of Music, in a way. But Life of Music's a different story. Literally. Different memoir and everything. That's what I meant when I said earlier about the plot being all over the place. And because of that, and the fact that this imaginary adaptation is going to try and be the most accurate of all of them, the thing I think we should take away from Sound of Music is the investment. We need this adaptation to make you feel the way you feel when you watch Sound of Music. With the exception of the Trap Family, because it was made first, all of these adaptations exist because of Sound of Music, let's be real. We watch all the other ones because of Sound of Music. And I imagine on some level, made to be, for lack of a better word, more historically accurate than Sound of Music. And with this hypothetical miniseries, Sound of Music's impact is definitely going to be playing a part in it. So if this is going to be the perfect adaptation, we need it to make us feel the way Sound of Music makes us feel, more than any of the other adaptations. Not that the other adaptations aren't interesting or engaging, they absolutely are. But Sound of Music, whether we want it to or not, is always in the back of our minds. So the investment of Sound of Music, and maybe the songs. Is it going to be a musical? And by musical I mean, will they be singing other than when they're performing? I'm not suggesting Rodgers and Hammerstein's score. If we put that to it, then all the other adaptations are null and void. I just meant maybe have it as a musical like Sound of Music. Sound of Music is actually the only musical adaptation of this story. So I believe the perfect adaptation of the Von Trapp story, or as close to perfect as you can get regarding historical accuracy, would include the plot of the Trap Family, but with the timeline of Life of Music. It should have the visual style and aesthetics of Life of Music, details that are only found in the anime, and it should make us feel the way we feel when we watch Sound of Music. And with all that, I think having it be a TV show would be a good idea. Or at least a miniseries. Possibly a musical, coming in 2021. Ha! No, that's Hamilton's year. Ah, I'm so excited! 2022 then. No, this is not a real thing. Despite what I just said, this is not a real adaptation. It was just me putting together the best bits of all the adaptations to see if I could create an adaptation that would be as close to perfect as you could get. You won't be seeing it in real life anytime soon. And that's everything for today. I hope you enjoyed. I'll leave a link down below to the anime and the Trap Family because you can watch both of them on YouTube. And let me know if you've seen any other adaptation of the Von Trapp story other than The Sound of Music. And what did you think of it? If you've seen more, what was your favourite? Other than Sound of Music, my favourite would probably be the anime. It's longer, which means there's more time, which means there's more time with my OTP, which means more romance. But let me know. Thank you for watching, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my video next week. So long for a while!